Alright the squad, today on the Shove It show we'll actually be taking a YouTube request from WWE Mindhead because he's been really annoying me and I prefer to give him a punch to the gut, but instead I'll give him this. It's Ring of the Hawk Season 5, the show where we watch back a wrestler's short run with a company and at the end we shove them a final grade to see if they can do the JOB to the HAWK. And of course, if you know a wrestler who could do the JOB, shove their name down in the comments, Jack! Okay, it's Scott Steiner India, showing the fans fear. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've watched Rinker King. In case any of you missed it, this was the time in 2011 when TNA tried to create their own wrestling show in India. And it actually was on a big TV network, and the show is a lot of fun, if you don't take it too serious. The roster was a mixture of TNA guys and some barely trained Indian wrestlers. But the main standout performer on these shows was Scott Steiner. TNA were extremely happy that Scott Steiner was allowed to go to India, as it was felt they needed a recognisable star, and much of the early marketing was using Scotty. This would be his final main event run on telly, and boy was it memorable. Scott Steiner would be a part of a faction called Random Dudes Extreme, and his promos were all the nonsense rambling that we've grown to love.
That is the largest arm. It's not a question if I win, it's a question is how fast.
You know what I mean?
Tonight, you better have the right answer. You're gonna kill Morgan. You go out there and destroy him.
You hear that? Yeah.
Destroy him. Come on, Magnus. You understand what he's saying, white trash? You make big mistake. I will put my footprint on the blueprint. I don't have to listen to you. I'm gonna go out there and do what you should have did to Morgan. I'm gonna go destroy somebody. You watch me, Magnus. I'm going out there. You watch me. I'm gonna destroy.
Match 1, World Title Tournament. Scott Steiner with Magnus taking on fake boxer Max B. It's two X's for some reason. I guess to make him more edgy. But this 150-pound guy doesn't stand a chance against Steiner. Scotty attacks him from behind before the bell, which just seems a bit unnecessary. Steiner beats him in the corner and removes his little dressing gown. One Steiner chop floors this ring veteran. A back elbow floors him again. Steiner keeps smacking him in the head as he starts to get enraged by this crowd. Max B makes his comeback with shaking punches. Seriously, why is he shaking like that? Is he okay? He looks like he's trying to hold onto an invisible steering wheel over bumpy ground. Well, speaking of bumpy, Steiner catches him and throws him overhead for belly to belly. Steiner drops the elbow accompanied by push-ups. He's just a big angry man in this match. Steiner throws him again, this time with a belly to belly, and he breaks his own pin-up. This can't go on. Steiner is going to snap with this crowd. Scotty picks Max B up with ease and places him on the top rope. He gives him a top rope flatliner and he locks on the recliner for the tap out win. Steiner's a bad winner though, and he locks Max B back in the recliner as Magnus dumps his nappy of fear and tries to calm Scott down. A very fun squash match where we got the full Scott Steiner experience. He looks like he's teetering on the edge of a Roid rage. Can't wait to see what he does next. It's a B for this squash match as it left me wanting more. Match 2, World Title Tournament. Scott Steiner. A fan says something to him on the ramp which causes Steiner to snap as he wrenches on his head over the guardrail. Magnus fills his knickers with piss and keeps having to drag Scotty away from the crowd. And this is how a legend was born. He takes on Mahabali Vera, who is not a legend. These two big Roid machines have a muscle pose down to start the match. Vera gets carried away and Steiner kicks him in the gut. Despite that, Vera starts us off with 3 shoulder block knockdowns and a clothesline. Steiner has to bail for the ring with a stream of diarrhea in his nappy. He cutters Vera across the ropes and returns to the ring. All he can do is land a few punches and chops before he runs into Vera's boot. He can't exactly manage much himself. It feels like we're moving in slow motion. He eventually hits Steiner with a side slam for a 2. Vera nails a suplex and looks like he's setting up for something. A clothesline which Steiner dodges in slow motion. Seriously, how slow are these two guys? Steiner looks livid and just simply hits a flatliner and it's over. Not a great match, and just like that, Steiner is through to the World Title Tournament final. It's an S. We do get a fun segment between the two finalists where their bodies and muscles are measured. I wish they'd do more of this stuff. It adds an element of realness to wrestling. Plus, you know, these things are perfect for Steiner. He makes fun of his opponent's tiny arms. Match 3, World Title Tournament final. Scott Steiner with Magnus and Sonjay Dutt versus Matt Boring. Steiner starts by reminding Matt how small his arms are. Matt pushes him away in frustration. Morgan wrenches his arm and sticks the boot in. He seems to be doing okay until Sonjay grabs his boot. Indian wrestlers surround the ring to make sure it's a fair fight. Morgan sends Steiner into the corner and hits him with rapid fire elbows. He punctuates that with a discus clothesline but only gets a 2. Magnus takes the referee so Steiner can smack Matt Boring in his nutsack. He takes the ref so random dudes can choke Morgan on the ropes. Steiner knocks him down with a Steiner line accompanied by push-ups. He keeps going with a belly to belly, but barely gets a 2. He moves on to a submission, but Matt Boring seems to be stronger than Steiner despite his stick arms. He stays on top with a back elbow. Steiner is definitely much slower at this point in his career, but as long as he keeps bringing the personality, you won't notice it so much. This crowd keeps causing him to almost lose his concentration. It does eventually cost him and he runs into a Boring boot. Matt fires up with a clothesline and a side slam, it's just a 2 count. He tries another discus which is blocked and Steiner hits the flat liner. Morgan kicks out at the last possible moment. Steiner locks him in the recliner now, which doesn't get the job done. He tries another submission now, the bear hug, but Morgan fights this off and hits a carbon footprint, and just like that, Steiner is done. It's disappointing how quickly Steiner was beaten in his final main event world title match. Steiner would have been a far better choice than Morgan. This one was a slow plodding affair where only Steiner's personality entertained me. It's a D. Despite Steiner's push and marketing, he does slip down the card a bit from here. Match 4, 6-man tag. Random Dudes Extreme take on Bulldog Hart, Chavo Guerrero, and Matt Boring. Steiner doesn't start and eventually gets in with Bulldog. He beats him up in slow motion whilst getting upset at the crowd. Bulldog makes his comeback and he smashes Steiner with a back suplex for a 2. Hart hits a slam and tags in Matt Boring. He squashes Steiner against the ropes and he's gone for a bit now. I was starting to get annoyed at this match, but randomly it spills outside the ring and Steiner throws Chavo against the fence, which breaks open. It's noticeable that the crowd cower and run backwards when they see Steiner. This must have given Steiner a brainwave. Scotty returns to the ring with a renewed energy. He flattens Chavo and hits the elbow drop. Steiner breaks his own pin up and chases the ref away. He's getting closer and closer to going into a roid rage. Eventually Matt Boring runs wild, beating up all the random dudes extreme all on his own. Bulldog Hart hits Steiner with a super kick, but hey, at least Magnus beats Bulldog with a Michinoku driver. Then a wolf screams and Abyss has joined the random dudes. He and Steiner start chasing the crowd around the building. Steiner suddenly breaks into the crowd who start desperately climbing walls and fences to get away from him. The crowd are parting like waves in the sea, and it's quite a spectacle to see. The match sucked, but the attack in the crowd gimmick is very memorable, so it's a B. Match 5, number 1 contendership for the heavyweight belt Battle Royal. Steiner enters quite late on in this one. He floors everybody with clotheslines, and he once again hits an overhead belly to belly on Max B. The 8-year-old obese Indian boy also gets one. That is an insane display of strength, throwing that much weight over your head. Steiner eliminates Max B quickly, followed by the 8-year-old obese Indian boy. Unfortunately, Steiner backs into a generic bodybuilder who looks like the Hamburglar. He almost eliminates him too, but he holds on and fights back at Steiner. He grabs Steiner and hip tosses him out of the ring. What a random elimination that was. Steiner is eliminated by a random guy that nobody's ever heard of and nobody ever will. In fact, this was this guy's only match on Rinker King, and he made it to the final 2 before somehow losing to Magnus. How random. Not too bad for Steiner, 2 eliminations, but he did get thrown out by a complete nobody, so I guess it balances out to a C. At this point, a power struggle storyline starts as the leader of the Random Dudes Extreme is revealed to be a wild slapnuts bitch.
Jeff Jarretts.
Match 6, tag match. The 8-year-old obese Indian boy, yay, shake those boobs, and he teams up with the Indian Leatherman. They take on Scott Steiner. The boy looks terrified at the size of Steiner's arms. Scotty teases climbing into the crowd who look terrified. He teams up with his fellow random dude, the Monster Abyss. Steiner suddenly charges at the Leatherman. He drives his head into the corner. He hits the clothesline and the elbow drop into push-ups. It's all Steiner so far. He throws Leatherman overhead. He can't make a pin though because the crowd are enraging him. Steiner throws the Leatherman from the top rope with a belly to belly. Still no pin. Scotty is seemingly done with the Leatherman and he starts pounding on the obese boy. He locks on the Steiner recliner as the boy shakes and dumps in his nappy. He doesn't actually tap though, instead Abyss gets the win with the black hole slam. As soon as his music plays, he charges out the ring and at the crowd who recede backwards like your hairline. People are desperately scrambling and running like some sort of earthquake is happening. It's quite the spectacle, everyone is terrified of Scotty. Steiner comes back to the ring and gives the referee a back suplex from the top rope. That was unnecessary, but it was insanely fun. That's how you make somebody look like a threat. It's an A from the Hawk, a wholly fun segment. Match 7, tag title match. The challengers are Scott Steiner and Abyss. I almost thought Scotty was going to smack an audience member one. The champions are Chavo Guerrero and Bulldog Hart. I love how whilst they're making their entrance you can see the crowd desperately running from Steiner. It really does look great. It's a shame audiences here are too clued up. This goes on for a while too, and I ain't complaining. Steiner doesn't start this one. Probably should have though, because Abyss doesn't do very well. Abyss tags in Scotty against Bulldog. He milks the crowd for a while, teasing that he'll charge at them again. Instead he climbs into the ring. Steiner is really distracted and he keeps screaming shut up. He gives Bulldog Hart a gut-kicking special and a beatdown in the corner. Hart wakes up and knocks him down with a couple of shoulder blocks and a big belly-to-back suplex for a 2. Now it's a side slam for another 2. Chavo comes in with a slingshot, but he can't stay on top as Abyss trips him up. The Steiner line and the elbow drop connect. The tag is made to Abyss with Chavo isolated. Steiner is still heavily involved and the crowd are all over him. He returns to the ring and crushes Chavo with a belly-to-belly for a 2 count. Scotty loses his focus and Chavo makes a block in the corner. I love how it gets no less than 3 replays. Steiner tags Abyss, but he can't prevent the tag to Bulldog Hart. Steiner enters the ring and regrets it as he has his head kicked off. He wakes up just in time to break up a pin. The champions take Scotty out of a double shoulder tackle. It's not looking good for our guys. Bulldog power slams Scotty and Chavo punctuates that of a middle rope dropkick. Fortunately, Scotty isn't legal. Sonjay Dutt distracts the referee of his stupid golden wings and that allows Abyss to hit Chavo with a black hole slam and it's over. A very fun main event, great heel work and Steiner wins gold, so it has to be good. I'm giving it a B. Scotty doesn't actually have a wrestling match for a while now, but he does have an arm wrestling match against Bulldog. I like stuff like this because it's really playing to Scotty's strengths. Steiner actually beats him cleanly, which you don't normally see in challenges like this on a wrestling show. Match 8, Lethal Lockdown match, Random Dudes Extreme versus the Rinker King guys. Scotty actually enters second for his team. It's nice to see how much he's been involved in the matches. When you're a veteran, it's easy to shy away and do less ring work. Steiner immediately starts smacking Chavo Guerrero around. For once, the crowd are safe. Steiner hits a big belly-to-belly on Chavo and a double-team suplex with Sonjay. Bulldog Hart enters next. He hits Steiner with an atomic drop and a super kick. Not a lot happens for Steiner now as the ring fills up. Chavo hits possibly the safest cage dive I've ever seen to take out Steiner and the Random Dudes. Everybody has entered as the homeless man joins the match and hurls Steiner into the cage. This doesn't seem to be Steiner's match as Matt Boring hits him with a carbon footprint. The match turns when Slappy throws handcuffs into the cage. Random Dudes pose for the camera. Steiner chokes out the homeless man with a stick, and then randomly it's the Indian Big Boss Man who gets the free of a knockout blow. This just felt like TNA trying to get an Indian guy over. Steiner was barely involved in this one, it's a D. Match 9, 2 out of 3 Falls match for the tag titles with Special Enforcer Samosa Joe. The champions are Steiner and Abyss, and randomly the challengers are the Mumbai Cats. Now, I need to use this as an opportunity to dispel a rumour which I started years ago. The Mumbai Cats are not actually the Young Bucks, but a huge amount of people believe me for some reason, so I hope that gives you all peace of mind. Now shut up or I'll smack you one. Abyss starts, he doesn't really need Steiner's help here. What a gimmick these cats have. Steiner gets the tag and he immediately hits an overhead belly to belly. Funny moment now as Steiner is doing his push-ups and one of the cats just jumps him. This is exactly how a real cat would fight. Steiner punishes him for his interference with belly to belly. In this completely random tag match, Steiner also snaps off a Frankensteiner and that's the 3. RDX try to leave but they're told there's another pinfall. I don't think they're worried or upset about this news. Abyss wins straight away with the black hole slam. I'm not sure why they needed the second fall. I don't know, a C for the Frankensteiner. We need more attack in the crowd, please. Match 10, tag title match. The Bollywood Boys and their banging theme music.
Make some noise for the Desi Boys!
Can they take on the champions Random Dudes Extreme? This one starts with a security guard desperately trying to keep Steiner away from the fans. But because he's Steiner, he does it anyway. The Bollywood Boys eventually get tired of waiting and meet them in the crowd. Well, most of them have run away. Steiner is sent over the guardrail and the crowd frantically run forward. The boys hit double baseball slides to RDX and the bell rings to start the match. It's not going well. Steiner eats a double shoulder block and a double drop kick, quickly followed by a double tope. After a while, Steiner hits a belly to belly. The crowd wake up, which of course winds up Steiner. They have one of the boys isolated as Steiner hits about 20 kicks to the gut. It all goes wrong though when Steiner holds a boy for Abyss to smack, but Steiner gets smacked instead. The Bollywood boy almost beats Steiner with a missile dropkick, even though he wasn't legal. They clear Steiner from the ring and one of them dives off the top and almost misses Steiner. Scotty then has enough and hits a flatliner. He locks on the recliner and it should be over, but no, the lights go out. Mahabali Vera teleports into the ring and beats our guys up with a wicket. Steiner gets a double super kick and so does Abyss, and that's the 3. Pretty firm, but Steiner didn't do much. I would have liked to have seen him throw a tantrum and attack the crowd afterwards. It's a D. Match 11, final match, 10-man tag. Team Random Dudes Extreme versus Team Rinker King. The quality of this recording sucks, but fortunately Steiner pays a visit to the crowd in his final match. And it's a shame about the quality because I love the way he charges at them. The cameramen completely forget that there's a match going on and they're just following Steiner everywhere. This is pure chaos. Steiner is squared off with Trevor Murdoch somewhere in the crowd. What a visual this is. It does eventually turn into an actual match. Steiner hits the belly to belly on Chavo for a 2. It's the sort of match where it's hard for an individual to shine, but unfortunately Steiner is larger than life itself. Everybody hits finishers. Steiner nails the flatliner on Murdoch but eats a spear from Vera straight afterwards. Chavo hits another very safe dive to the outside on RDX. Vera beats the Indian Big Boss Man with the Sky High. It's a C just for the spectacle at the start. Props to Steiner, he found a gimmick in India which worked and he milked it. RDX are driven out the building by the cricket guy, but they steal the belts and the last we see of them is all the guys driving away on the back of a red truck. It's wacky, it's stupid, and I think I love it. This was done because at the time it was unknown if Rinker King would be renewed for another season. It wasn't, unfortunately. Well, this started out with it looking like Steiner was going to be the guy in India. He was de-pushed though, but he managed to stay relevant in his faction and hold the tag belts. His attack in the crowd Roid Rage gimmick is very memorable and it's a shame so many people missed it. I bet it was a lot of fun to watch live. Steiner could still go at this point, though it seemed to be the most fun when he was just beating on jobbers. Now talking of jobs, we've got to shove Steiner a final grade for Ring of the Hawk Season 5 and see if he can indeed do the job. I was a bit conflicted, but in the end it almost felt like a career rebirth. His promos were hilarious and he never looked out of place, so I'm going to give Steiner and Rinker King a low B. I know that the match quality was nothing to write home about, but there's more to wrestling and this is the sort of thing casual viewers would eat up nowadays, and if you don't agree with that, I'll show your girl the meaning of sprays.